Okay, let us begin our class today, students. Yeah, ready? Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Nah, I close the door already. Wow, okay. So you see, this slide is there for some time already, right? The topic for today, I hope, will be pole zero by Bose stability and also second order system. Let us see what is pole and zero. Okay. So you can see in this slide, we see a general transfer function here, the general form of transfer function. On the top is the numerator, and on the bottom is the denominator. Zeros are defined as the roots of the numerator, the top part. Because the top part is polynomial, so you can take out the roots. Okay? You know what? You know what is the roots? Huh? Ya, in Indonesian it's called akar ya. Akar persamaan kuadrat, akar persamaan pangkat 3, akar-akar polinomial. The roots of the polynomial. What exactly is the roots then? When it intercepts 0. Okay. Yeah. That means zeros are S that makes the top part to be 0. Okay. Zeros are the S that makes the top part to be 0, the numerator to be 0. Okay. What happened with the denominator here? We have poles, okay? The roots of the denominator is called the poles. As an example, in here we have two transfer functions. For the second transfer function here, the zeros are 1 and -2. Yeah. What if we make S to be 1? This term becomes 0, yeah? So 0 multiplied by anything that is non-zero becomes 0. So the top part becomes 0. What happened with the bottom part? If we put 1, does it become 0? No, yeah. What about -2? You put there -2? 0 also, yeah? Okay. Let's see the poles. In here, the poles are -9 and -20. Okay. Very easy, yeah, because I have factored out all of the roots already. What about this? What is the pole of this transform function? It's mentioned already here, right? The pole is -1 over tau. So for the first order system, the tau and the pole are directly related, yeah, because you see the tau, the time constant is over there. What about the 0 here? There is no 0. There is no S term on the top, so there is no 0. It is not the 0 is 0, no, but there is no 0. Okay. Any questions so far? Clear? Clear, eh? No, this is not practice, sorry. Practice should be, I put this one later, yeah. But this is not practice. We can do practice later. But I put several other transfer function, and then you can see that the first one, the zeros are -10 and -5. The poles are this one. Okay. This term, it has multiple zeros on it. 0, 0, and 0. So there are 3 zeros all located at 0. I hope it's not confusing. We have 3 zeros, all of them are located at 0. Yeah. What about this one? We have double poles at 0. Yeah. If we don't want to confuse about 0 and the 0, yeah, this one we usually call it as origin. Okay, origin. So the origin is where is the origin in this case? Yeah, it's over here. Yeah, that's the origin. So in this case, we have two axes. what we call the horizontal axis when we discuss about pole and zeros. It's not x-axis, not time axis, not frequency. No, not zero axis. It's the real number axis. What about the vertical one? Imaginary, that's correct. So the whole thing is called real plus imaginary becomes what number? Complex number. So the whole thing in here, this is called what? Complex plane. Complex plane. Okay. So the second example that we have 3 zeros, they are all located at the origin. Okay. So I changed the term not at 0 but at the origin. What about the poles here? The 2 poles are also at the origin. Meanwhile, the remaining pole is -9 over here, -9. So this is minus real number plus real number over here plus imaginary, and this is minus imaginary. Yeah, the plus minus sign is still the same. Okay, so let's say this is 1, 2, this is 1, 2, -1, -2, and etc. Yeah. The third example, there is no zero. However, the pole are located at 0 plus minus 5i. Where is that in here?
On the imaginary axis.
Imaginary axis.
5 and -5.
Okay, it's here, yeah. This is 5, and then we have -5 over there. So that's where the poles are located. Okay. The number over here is the real part. The number over there is the imaginary part. Yeah. So you remember that for a complex number, it is constituted by the real part plus imaginary part times the I. Okay. Let's see the last example. The last example has zeros of 1 and -1. Meanwhile, the poles are -1 and plus minus square root of 3. Where is that here? The poles?
Like the left. On the left.
-1 and then square root of 3. Yeah, it's about here.
But like negative.
Yeah, it's over there. Yep. Sorry, I forgot to add the I. There is an I over there. Yeah. Yeah.
For CMD, the forces imaginary number for me.
Yeah, you take out the roots. No, not the determinant. Let's say the s square for plus 5 square, yeah. S square plus 5 square. Okay. So you want to make this term become 0, yeah, to find out the s. So you have what? Negative 5 square, right? So if you want to take out the root, what do? You take the square root, right? And this is equal to I multiplied by 5 square, and this is plus minus.
Another minus.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the same thing with this. You use the ABC formula. Yeah, ABC formula, still remember? Hah? Ya, kecap. Okay. Kecap ABC maksudnya. Okay. Now, after we learn about the pole and zero of a transfer function, then we can discuss about the BIBO stability. BIBO stands for bounded input, bounded output. Yeah, for transfer function based control system, we use the term BIBO stability. Yeah. Meanwhile, for the time domain base, where we use state space, we use the term asymptotic stability. Those are two different things. Yeah. And the asymptotic stability is more robust. But let us talk about BIBO stability first. This is the condition for BIBO stability. So all of the real part of the poles must be negative, all of them. Yeah. An example of numbers located at the open left half plane are these three. Yeah, these are the example. BIBO stable if and only if all of the poles of the transfer function are located on the left half plane. So it's over here. Yeah, you can see this is the left part, and over here is the right part. Means the left side of the imaginary axis. Over here is the right side of the imaginary axis. And if it is on the left side, it is BIBO stable. On the right side, it is not stable. Yeah, on the pole only. Denominator, the bottom part. Yeah, the zeros does not account for the stability. Yeah. What about this? That's on the imaginary axis. Is it on the open left half plane if it is on the imaginary axis? Huh?
Yeah.
You know what in by open and close?
Oh, so it's like open round bracket.
The bracket, yeah. If we say it is in 0 to 5, then this is close.
Close.
Yeah. So 0 is included. That means it is close. If we say in this is open. Okay, 0 is not included. So in the top part, we write down like this one. Yeah, there is a equal sign, but this one there is no equal sign. Okay, the open means this one. Yeah, open left half plane means the imaginary axis is not included. 0 is not included. So if you have poles at 0 at imaginary axis, that's not BIBO stable. Okay.
You have the number, right? 0.256, 0. No.
Real the whole number. Real number. So over here is included also.
Yeah.
Yes. Real number. Okay, let's see. So this is a graphical illustration of BIBO stability pole location. This is unstable location on the right side. Meanwhile, if it is in the imaginary axis, it is neutrally stable. Yeah, neutrally stable. You can change the origin if there is a temporary disturbance. Origin changes. Yeah. Any question on this? Clear, yeah? Left, right, yep.
So if the poles number is the poles are not BIBO stable, the system be unstable.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, stability is referred to the system, not to the pole itself. Okay, but system stable if the poles are located here. Yeah. If the poles are here, then the system is stable. Yeah. Right.
Then the coordinates comes from
Yes, the transfer function, you get the roots of the denominator. Yeah,
We check if it's stable.
yeah, you check. So you check it from here, yeah, from the poles, the roots of the denominator. Now, can you, yeah,
Is it possible for zeros to be generation?
zeros, yes, possible, imaginary.
So sir, that real and imaginary,
Hmm?
like what do you call it? Complex plane
Complex plane.
is for zero impulse.
Yes, for zeros and poles.
That's the variable stability. Take advantage for
The
zeros.
for the poles,
Oh.
yeah,
For number two, will it be stable?
yeah. That's what I want to ask. Okay, Haikal, you don't get to do the quiz on Monday, right? So I want to ask you this. Okay, this is your turn. On the spot. Okay. What about this part? Is this system stable or not? Okay, I take the first answer. That one is wrong, yeah.
Of course lah.
It's only past zero, so
Yeah. So if you want it to be stable, all of them must be negative.
So all the poles.
All of the poles must have negative real part. Okay. If only some of them have negative real part, some of them has positive or zero, then unstable. Unstable.
What does variable stand for?
Sorry? Bounded input, bounded output.
What does that mean, sir?
Hmm? If the input is bounded, output is also bounded. An example of bounded input is a step function. Yeah. So I will write here,
Wow.
BIBO stands for bounded input and then bounded output, yeah. Let's say you are giving a system a step function like this. What about the first order system response that we usually discuss? If the step input is given to the system, what the response look like?
exponential.
Like this, yeah.
Yeah.
So the input is bounded, the output is also bounded. Bounded, and the bounded doesn't go to infinity. Yeah. If you give the input step and then your output goes like this, for example, goes like this, then it is unstable. Unbounded. Yeah, it is unbounded. Bounded means it's like you have a ceiling that restrict the movement of your response. It's bounded.
Basically, if we have a certain input, it will have a certain output.
Yep. Like for example, people who always go everywhere together like this, yeah, they have a bounded circle, yeah, cannot go outside from this bounds.
So the system will be unstable if the output, the mathematical limit is to infinity.
If the input is bounded, yeah, if you give this kind of input, then certainly the output will also go like that.
Stable. Okay.
It is okay. It is okay. That's the behavior of the stable system.
So like that is unbounded input, unbounded output.
No. We define only for bounded input. We define stability only for the bounded input. I mean, you see the stability from this point of view.
Because if unbounded input cannot be.
Yeah, if it is unbounded input, the output will also be unbounded. We cannot say anything about that. It is still stable.
Not
That
steady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
there is no steady state value. Okay,
It is stable.
the term must be correct. Yeah, let us correct the term. So it takes some time. Yeah. You remember the quiz problem we have yesterday? What is the GS? 10 over S plus 1. And then we give a step input, right? Step input, and then the response goes like, and this is 10, yeah? Okay. If let's say we give a ramp input, output is, the input is ramp, the output will be, it will also be going like that, okay? So this behavior doesn't mean that the system unstable. No, the system is stable. What is the pole here? Pole -1/3. Okay, this is stable. Yeah. So stable system can have output that goes unbounded if the input is also unbounded. There is no steady state value. Yeah. Okay, good. Say that again. Ah, you just come, right? Wow, that's a bit. Yeah, you review this later on the video, yeah. What does it mean by the bounded input, bounded output? Yeah, a stable system. If I pull your chair here, your system is stable. Then your chair will follow here, right? Okay, and then stop here. If I stop my motion, you will also stop there. That's a stable system. I give a bounded input. But if I pull Stephen all the way to the end of the world, he will follow, right? Because I still holding the chair. Stable system, but goes unbounded. Okay, let's move. These are the examples. You check these examples. Stable means you have negative real parts. Even if it is very, very small, but still negative real part, that's stable. Yeah. Neutrally stable, all of the real part are 0. Okay. Instability, this one, yeah. Even if it is very small, close to the origin, but it is on the right side, that is unstable. Okay. So clear on this, yeah? This will be surely come out in the exam. Finding the poles, and then you say, is it stable or not? Okay. Surely come in the exam. Any questions so far?
So for the Weibull stability, all the poles have to be
Yeah,
negative,
correct.
even if there's 0 on it.
It's not
It's not
stable.
neutrally stable. What?
Wait.
Like for example, poles for the second one.
This one.
Yeah, 0, 0 and -9. Is
How do we call it, you mean?
Yeah,
We call it neutrally stable.
neutrally stable.
Yeah. So we look at the pole that is the rightmost pole.
Oh, so the largest value for the pole.
Largest value. If you say large is going to the right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is neutrally stable because we have largest is 0. Yeah. Yeah, we see the biggest value. If you have the pole to be -100 and then 0 and then 9, this is unstable. Okay, this is unstable. You say why? Yeah, you have to look at the inverse Laplace transform. Do you know how to do it? Okay, let us take an example of first order system again. Yeah, first order system. A very simple one. If I have GS 1/s plus 1, and I give an input of 1/s, 1/s plus 1, input is 1/s, and this is YT. How does the YT looks like? If I derive the YT, how should I write? Can we use Laplace table? Yeah, so can you say to me what's the YT here? Okay, let us express YS first. YS is times 1. Okay. Now what's the inverse Laplace transform of the this is this is 1 minus E. Clear? Yeah. So how does the function look like if we plot? If we plot, goes like this, and this is 1. You believe me or not? Okay. Now what if we change the pole into minus 1? Minus 1. Pole will be plus 1, yeah. So this is minus 1. Then YS will be, and then YT will be 1 minus plus T. What happened with plus T then? Just go unbounded, right? Yeah. So that's the Y. Okay. Enak ya? Tinggal taruh aja di situ. This is something that you have to actually learn last year, so that you when you come here, okay, I got it. Nah, that's okay. Think of it as a review. Let's move on. Example done already, yeah, and then practice again. But yeah, I give the answer already. Okay. Any question on this? The top and the bottom part we haven't discussed yet. Yeah, that's now. Neutrally stable because of the 0 here. Unstable because of the 12 there. This is bistable because we have minus 1. What about the positive 0? 0 is positive, but bistable. Yeah, we look only at the pole. Awas ya nanti kalau salah. Saya liatin mukanya satu-satu nih, bener nggak nih? Okay, if there is no more question, let us discuss the second order system. That's harder actually. Okay, let's take a break, 1 minute. Let's move on. The second order system. So generally, for mechanical system, it is a system with inertia. Now, when we put the mass onto the system, or we have a kinetic energy term, mx double dot, it is coming from the kinetic energy half mv square, half mx dot square. Okay. So an example is this car. What happened with this car? Can you see?
Focus.
What happened?
Hit a pothole.
Yeah, hit a pothole. Correct. So what will happen with the car when it hits a pothole when moving? It will oscillate. Yeah, oscillate, vibrates. It will vibrate. So this is the reality, and this is something that we draw to illustrate what happened with the system. So this is already a modeling part, but not so detailed. Okay, but we know the car is moving on a rough road in this case. Okay. So what should we do if we want to model it in more detail?
Equation.
FBD. Okay. Yeah, there is no escape from that. Yeah, no escape from that. So you draw something like this. Okay. You simplify the car into a simple model, only one tire. Yeah. This is called quarter car model. Quarter because it is just one wheel. Okay. And then that's the mass, spring, and then there's a damper. Okay, and then this is very, you know, simplified, so it looks like a sinusoid. Actually, the road is a random, yeah. Furthermore, we do this kind of model, yeah. So the wheel gives the input to the suspension, yeah. So the input is not coming to the mass of the car; it is coming through the wheel. Okay? So the best model that can explain that is called the base excitation model. So the base is being excited by the rough road. Okay. Can you create the FBD on this?
Yes, yes.
FBD?
And go down.
Yeah, we assume that the coordinate x is going up or y is going up. So the FBD is like this. Okay. So the k x minus y is going down because we assume that the spring is being compressed. Yeah, the spring compressed, and so the same thing happened for the damper. Okay. Let's create the differential equation. That's the equation of motion. So we have minus k and then minus c. Why is it minus? Anyone know why we put minus here? Yeah, because it is going down, yeah. And then we rearrange the equation. We have this one on the left and that one on the right side. So where is the input in this case?
Please, YT.
Yeah.
In
Ah,
YT.
the input is not yt in this case. The input in this differential equation, the input is this whole thing. That whole thing is the input. Cy dot is a force, right? It's a force. K times y is also a force. The force times force becomes a force also, right? Also a force. After you convert into Laplace transform, then you can say y is the input after we convert into Laplace transform. But still in here, the whole thing is still the input. What happened with if we convert to Laplace? This thing, yeah. So x double dot, we have the s square term. The x dot, we have the s term in there. The x, there is no s. Meanwhile here, it just becomes cs plus k. Okay. Rearrange the equation. Input is y, output is x. So that is our transfer function. Yeah. Is it stable, do you think?
Yes. No. Plus. Ayo plus.
It is stable. If it is not it is unstable, you get a dupont hole, then you go to the sky.
How can you know it's stable, sir?
It is stable.
Plus sama plus.
Yeah, plus and plus. Stable. Okay. Let us check check the poles. Hi Carl, you want to do it? Okay, this will be your second problem of the quiz.
Oh iya, minus spin.
Yeah, quadratic equation.
Plus juga bisa.
Find the poles of this transfer function.
Nah dong. Ini plus ini.
The poles of the transfer function. Huh?
Iya.
No, okay. You pass it again. Okay, we want to take.
Oh, soalnya dibalik ya, habis itu ya. Bukan cuma difaktorin kan. Be equals to zero.
Okay, we make it to be zero because we want to find out the roots. Okay.
Yes.
So how do we find the roots of that?
Minus B.
Yeah, minus b. This is the b, yeah.
Minus C.
Minus c and then plus minus
Square root
of
C square.
huh?
C square.
C square
C square minus
minus 4
MC.
Yeah, KM.
km, and then divided by 2.
2K. 2A. 2A.
2n.
2M.
2m, right?
2M.
2M.
Ya, I-nya kan M.
Okay. So this part is negative already. Yeah, and then the c square minus 4 km.
But that's just the imaginary.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. So what matters is the C.
Yep. So it is a stable system. Okay. If let's say we make the 4 km to be smaller than the c, but this one cannot be negative, right? K and m cannot be negative. So this whole part will still be positive. So the least thing that will happen is that this thing will be positive. But will it make the whole thing to be positive? If this thing is positive, let's say, not imaginary but positive. Yeah. You see, what will happen is that c will still be greater than the square root of the c square minus 4 km. This is guaranteed. Yeah. The smallest thing it can get is 0 over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
The square root of c.
C.
Yes, c, right? But k and m cannot be 0. So therefore, the real part will still be negative. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Ya, dikeluarin.
This is the block diagram. Block diagram explaining the relationship between input and output over there. Yeah. So when you have the transfer function, you can already make the block diagram. Easy, right? Yeah. Very easy. So let us simulate using Simulink. Do you bring your computer? Let us do it. If you bring, let's spend some time to build the model in MATLAB. MATLAB. Simulink. Yeah, Simulink. I think not all of you have Simulink, yeah. Yeah, can. You can use the online. Here is my model in the Simulink. Ready, Janice? With Simulink already? Okay. If you have Simulink already, you can expand the continuous library. Can you open the library? Still loading? Oh. Find out the library Simulink. Okay, you look for the Simulink library. My library is over here. And it is there, yeah. So there are a lot of menu, yeah, in here. We take out the continuous menu. You click the continuous and you can see a lot of blocks available. Search for the continuous Simulink and then find out the which one? Transfer function block. Transfer function block, you put it into the new model. Can you do it? Has anyone load into Simulink already? Write Simulink in the comment window then enter. Yeah, then. Oh, can you click some? Can you click over there? Yeah, click this. Oh, still loading. Is it done now? Okay, good. You double click on that Yeah,
Ah,
fill out the.
Kami sama zero.
Okay.
Ada blank model.
Huh? Yeah, blank model. Okay, you can fill out the what is MK. Let me check. Yeah, if I run it, please use my MK and C. So that's the data for my simulation. Can you see the K is 1000? Oh, where is M? Why is it 1000 times 1? Okay, that's the C. Oh, M is 1000, sorry. K is this one. That's the C. That's my M, the C, and then the K. You can use that. Can you use that? Too small, eh? Okay, let me write down over there. So your GS is what? CS plus K divided by plus CS plus K, and then you use M to be 1000, the C to be 1.885, 1.885 K, 1.885 E3, and then K to be 8.8826. E4. Now you can use this. No, no, no. You just type. So you double click the block, and then you replace the numerator by the number. So you replace the C, you put it there. Huh? You go into the browser. This one. Click library browser. Can you do it? Let me see. Nah, not as you see, you replace by this, the C. Yeah.
Also, we just put the number.
Yeah, put the number. In my case, I put all of them in the callback. Go to library browser. One Simulink. Find the continuous. This one continuous, and then find transfer function. Yeah, bring it there. Not double click. I think you have to drag it, drag and drop. Hmm? What? Transfer function. Not discrete. You go into the continuous. Go into the continuous menu first. That's continuous. That is the discontinuous. Discrete transfer function should be a bit down there. Yeah, that one. You drag and drop. Anyone still have problem? You double click on the. Is it on already? You double click on there. I think it's open already. Nah, the dialog. Okay.
Oh, numerator langsung pakai M C gitu.
Yeah, but you replace the value with this. So you replace the numerator coefficient CK, MCK by those value.
Berarti value sendiri.
Yeah? Yeah.
Kalau mau yang Dari ini nggak sih? Yang kata Sarah gak usah ganti manual.
If you want to do that, another way of inserting parameter is that you write down C and K over there. Just write down C and K, and then you click OK. CK and then MCK, and then click OK. Done. Nathan, okay, done. Done, and then you click OK. You go into the file, model properties there, and then there is a callback.
Define this.
Yeah, you define. Yeah, you can just write down what I have here. Just write down. Huh?
Variable doesn't exist.
Yeah. How is it?
Why is that?
Oh, simulation. Wait. Modeling. I think modeling. Model that. Maybe model setting is it? No. Don't click on that. But click. Yeah, that's one. Model properties. Yeah, the callbacks. Then init function. Okay, you write that you see on the. Yeah. Okay. Did it already? You replace the callback? No. You just write this. Yeah. And then you go into the base input. You find the source. So you close the continuous. No, I think it's on sources. You find step function. Where is it? That one. And then while you are there, find the sinks. SINKS sinks. No. Yeah. That's just the scope. Okay, you just connect the block now. Okay, you set the simulation for 10 seconds already. You go into simulation here. Simulation time 10 seconds. You try to run. I think they want you to save first. No, or is it running already? Nothing happened. Yeah, you double click on the scope. Double click. See, it is done already. Yeah. Yeah.
Itu GS sama
No, you go into the transfer function block. Do you have the transfer function block? Oh, you find library browser. Yeah, it takes some time. Okay, students, Janice did it already, so later you can ask her ya.
Gramnya City atau CS?
What? Say that again?
Gramnya City atau CS?
Itu city.
Ada City dong kan?
Yeah, that's the city. If you want to check, go into the setting of the scope. Time. Display. Show log. Wait. I think they limit the number of points. Let me see. Go to the logging. Oh, okay. I think that's time. Because it is very rough, the card. Go to the main. Again. Okay, I think then okay. But it is the time step is not nice. Go to the simulation outside. There is a setting. Where is the setting? I think it's here. Simulation menu.
Stepnya kurang detail ya, sir.
Yeah. No, not there. The different version of MATLAB.
How do you find the
To the modeling. Here, model setting. Model property. The callback is there. Okay, the init function is you want to initialize the simulation with variables that you initialize.
Doesn't change.
Yeah.
Already right. Exactly.
Mhm.
I already write
Yeah.
exactly as what you have done.
Okay.
Doesn't take
Okay, just click OK first. You double click there. CK, MCK. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then you just put the input and then the sync. You go into the sync. Find the scope. You drag it out. Drag. Drag to the right side. Yeah. Okay, and then you find sources. Yeah. Find the step. Down. That one is step. Okay. Then you connect the arrow. Now you have to click from arrow to arrow. Yeah, like that, and then from there also you click. Okay, and then you run the simulation. Go simulation. Then you run it. It should run. Everything library blocks. Okay, then you double click on the scope.
After run, we have to begin the double scope.
Yeah, you get the result, right?
Oh,
Okay.
but this one is still like
Yeah, you have to just expand it. You see, because your block is just too small. Can you expand it?
this size.
Yeah, increase the size. Left and right. See? Okay. Okay, students, let us move on. So later on, you can simulate the system on your own. Yeah. Let us continue. Yeah, let's get back here again. Later on, you can see the recording, and then see how we do the things. Yeah. So the callbacks are here. You can check also later the handouts which I give you. And then these are the results. Yeah, strangely, Stephen's result and Janice's results are, not fine enough. The data points is too few. Yeah, mine's data are a lot over there. So the simulation setting can be changed so that the time step simulation, you set it to be smaller. I haven't found it yet in your computer. Okay, you see, the system response goes like this, and then after that it goes to a steady state value. Yeah. So typically, this is the step response of a second order system for the underdamped case. Underdamped case typically like this. It has oscillates. Okay. So there are a lot of time domain parameters in there. You have MP, TD, TRTP, TS. What are those? These are MP stands for the overshoot. Overshoot is how much it deviates from the steady state value, above steady state value. That means overshoot. Yeah, you see, this class is supposed to end at 3:45, right? If I end at 4 o'clock, that means I have overshoot of 15 minutes. That's what you mean by overshoot. Yeah.
So Richard is not only the first one, right?
Yeah, the very, very fun.
Only the first one.
Only the first one.
Is that the highest? Or low tolerance is not
Yeah.
considered
Say that again.
low tolerance is not considered.
No, that's not overshoot. Overshoot is the first peak, of your response. Okay, TR stands for rise time, the time required for the response to reach 100% of the steady state value. TP, peak time, time to reach the peak, and then the settling time. Settling time means the time when the response settle. Yeah. After it reached the allowable tolerance band, it never go out. That means it is settled. Like Pafarid settled in Indonesia already. So after he returned to Indonesia, doesn't waver going anywhere. Settle in Indonesia. Yeah, like you settle yourself to stay in a city. You want to settle in Bangka, let's say, or Medan. You will settle. If you still move to different city, that's not settled. Has your heart settled already? That's the kind of question we can ask. Oh, settled. Yeah. Have you settled your mind to something? Yeah. So yeah. TD. TD is the half of the when you reach the half of the steady state value, but this is rarely used. Rarely used, which is why I don't put it there. The rise time is, pretty much close with the time constant. Time constant is how fast your system react, right? The rise time is also the same. How fast your system react. So in designing a control system, these will be the things that you will consider, or this will be the objective lah. You will have to design your controller so that your system behaves on this based on your specification. Okay, let's say you have a cruise control system that regulates the spacing between two vehicles. Okay, you want the overshoot to be less than 5%. If let's say the overshoot is very large, it might hit the front vehicle, right? So that kind of specification you have to check. And then the settling time, you don't want the spacing is achieved after 30 minutes. No, the lead vehicle is gone already. You reach the toll exit already. Okay, expressway exit. We finish the trip, then the system settle. That's not good. Okay. So designing a control system, it has pretty much the same kind of framework like designing a mechanical system. You have an objective, and then you have a way of achieving the objective. Okay. And these characteristics depends on the omega n and zeta. Have you heard about omega n and zeta previously? Yeah, omega n is natural frequency, and zeta is the damping ratio. Okay, second order system has those two characteristics. Okay, let's see what is omega n and zeta. Okay, let us refresh your memory. From this system, this is the transfer function. We have M, C, and the K over there, yeah. The transfer function is this one. And if we multiply the top and the bottom part by 1 over M, what do we get? It's this one. And this straight away we can we can rewrite it as this. So the omega n in here is what? Is the square root of k over m. And then the zeta, what is the zeta? Yeah, zeta, I'll show later in the example. I will give an example where I show you what is omega n and zeta. And any question up to this point? Okay, let's move on. Wow, what about the solution for this? Yeah, we use the Laplace inverse. Okay, this will be a bit, drowsy. Let's see. And then the input is, let's say, a unit step. What is yt? Just now you simulate using Simulink, right? So how does we express that curve mathematically? Gimana caranya? There will be a sine wave, of course, yeah. So xs is input multiplied by the transfer function, and the input is 1 over s. Okay, then further I divide the two terms. I have 2 zeta omega n s over here, and then I have omega n square over here. The bottom part are still the same, yeah. I just separated the numerator. Meanwhile, because the left term has s on the top and s here, I can cross it. And then we return with this. So the left term is just a second order, yeah, but the right term is third order. Okay. So how do we solve this? The answer is on the next slide. Slide to the next slide. Yeah? No, I don't need partial fraction. Just use the Laplace table. Laplace table is, if you cannot find Laplace transform pair that match with your system, then you do partial fraction. If it is matching already, you don't need to do partial fraction. So let's see, yeah. So the plan is that you take inverse Laplace for each term independently, okay? Because we can do superposition later. So don't take the inverse, the whole thing. Yeah, just take each of them. And meanwhile, you can also use the linearity property of the Laplace inverse, right? What is the linearity of Laplace inverse? Sorry. So Laplace inverse of y1s plus y2s is equal to Laplace inverse of y1s. Yes, that's correct. And it becomes y1t plus y2t. Exactly. Yeah. And we can also do that because the system is linear. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, the system is linear. If it is non-linear, we cannot do superposition. Yeah. When you are solving the second order system, you have to consider 3 cases. The first case is underdamped system. That is when zeta lies between 0 and 1. Strictly between 0 and 1. Cannot be 0. If it is 0, it is undamped, not underdamped, but undamped. And then the characteristic is that it has complex roots. So the roots are complex. Yeah, these are complex for underdamped system. So how do we solve it? Use Laplace table directly. It's available, yeah. Which one is which? Can anyone guess? You. Which one is which? Come on, this is the last chance. Yeah, we want to take the Laplace table for each of the term. Okay, which one is which? We have only 2 term and then 2 Laplace table that I give you. That's correct. Okay, you get the point. Yeah. Yeah, you see the format match with this, yeah. What's important is the format of the denominator. What about the numerator? Are they the same? They are not the same, but you can manipulate, yeah, the top part. Yeah, that's correct. So this one, coincidentally the same with this. So directly we use all of those. Okay. Sorry,
We choose one or what?
which one?
On the 24, we have zeros, right?
This one. Yeah. This is just the additional computation that you have to do. Let's, for example, in here is phi, right? Phi. This is, yeah. You compute the phi here to go there. And then this is the condition, just like Alifa said, this is the condition. You use this solution when the zeta is between 0 and 1. Okay, the example. Straight away with the example for underdamped case, M is 1, K4, C is 2. We'll get underdamped system. Yeah, we compute omega n is square root of K over M. I said earlier, I will give the formula here, yeah. And the zeta is this one, C divided by 2M omega n. So the zeta is 0.5. Yeah, below 1. And omega n is 2. Ys is 1 over S, and let us see the answer. Okay. So this is the original expression of xs, and this is after we insert omega n and zeta into the system. After that, we split into two terms. Yeah. This one term and that one term. Okay. We know that the top part is 2, this is 4. So we have to adjust. Yeah, we have to adjust to match so that the top part become 4. And these are the calculation that we need to do before we arrive at the answer. So if you get this problem in the examination, wow, a lot of computation to do, yeah. Yeah, I want to show you until the end of the slides because I'm hoping that you know after this meeting that in the control system, this is not the focus. This is the basic skill you need to have, but this is not the focus of the control system. Okay, the basic skill means like you know, like integral differentiation. That's the basic skill that you need. Like what is the basic skill needs for a driver? He needs to be able to open the door, right? The same like this. Need to be able to open the door and then turn on the car. No, actually it's easier. Actually it's easier. Yeah. If you think from the designer point of view, thing will be easier. Only that you need to have the computation skill, calculation skill. Okay, so we arrive at this answer. Yeah, yeah. All of these are already computed, and then I put the multiplier half in there. Half because this is 2. Yeah, yeah. I need to replace 2 by 4, and then 4 is multiplied by half, so it becomes 2. Because I need to match this with the Laplace table, yeah. And so we have the 1.1 half in here. We have the half term. So the question is, what is the steady state value of this?
Limit equals to
Yeah. So what is that? What's the value? Can you see it? Does this decay over time or not?
yeah.
Yes, because of this, right? Does this decay over time? All of this term multiplied by E minus T, right? So it will decay over time. So what's left? 1. So it's 1. Yeah. And you also need to think about your common sense, yeah, common sense. If you give a displacement here 1 centimeter, what happened with M? It will oscillate, and then after that, it will move 1 cm from the original position, right? So if the input is 1, then the output will also be 1. That's what it means. If you do this 1 cm and then after that it only move 0.5 cm, this is broken then, right? Broken. Yeah, that one broken. Okay. The next case is critically damped when zeta equal to 1. Yeah, this is easier because we have double roots and the roots are real. When the roots are double and real, so we can write this as this one. Zeta is 1, right? Zeta 1, we replace zeta with 1, then we get this. And then we factor it out because it double roots, just omega n square. See, it's very easy. This one. There is no oscillation. Okay. The example is this. Yeah, I increase the C from 2 to 4. So the zeta become 1, and then that's the final result. Okay. So the A in this case is 2. A is 2. So what do we have is this one. Again, what is the steady state value?
1.
1 again. That's correct. It's 1 again. 4 times 1 over 4. So it's 1. Yeah, this thing is gone. This thing gone. This thing gone. Only left with 1. 1 multiply 1 over 4 times 4 again. Become 1. Okay. The last thing is overdamp. Yeah, overdamp, it has distinct roots, but real. So we can factor it out like this one. So you use number 15 and 17. Yeah. The example is this one. And so the factor is 4 and 1 in this case. I take an easy number, 4 and 1. So I choose A to be 4, B to be 1. Can we choose A to be 1, B to be 4? Can we do the opposite? Can we? Can lah. Of course can. You can choose A to be 1, B to be 4, and the result will be the same. Yeah, there will be the same. Again, what is the final value? 1. Yeah, it's also 1. And it comes from this term, yeah, this term over here. This thing will be gone, this thing will be gone, only left with that. Okay, this is some notes that I want to give. So finding the inverse Laplace, it's not the focus, although you need to know how to do it. That's for checking. The ability to check your result is always good. Okay, what is the focus? Remember the closed loop system represented by this block diagram. Five more minutes. Okay, I have overshoot. I told you already I will have overshoot. This is quite important. You have your block diagram. What is the objective of designing this controller? Minimize the error, okay, between the output and your desired. What else? Okay, faster time response. What else?
Operating over them.
Huh?
Operating over them and over them.
Okay, that is okay. Time domain specification, yeah. Stability, correct. Because some system could be unstable, so you want to stabilize the system using the controller. Yeah, that's right. So these are all, at least the objective are like this. Yeah. Do you see anything about computing the time domain response in there? Yeah, but this one is given already. It's been computed for you. Okay. The time domain measures are all related to the omega n and the zeta. So once you achieve the omega n and zeta that you need, you will achieve those TRTP overshoot settling time that you want. Okay. So it is all been derived already. And the zeta and omega that you need. Yeah. And then regulating the output is minimizing the error. Okay. Rejecting disturbance, also minimizing the error in face of disturbance. So the focus is not inversing Laplace transform, no, but that process is included in there. It's included in there, but the focus is this one. Okay. In simple terms, you have your plan. Okay, and then let's say the controller is generalized into polynomials like this. Your job is to determine what is m, what is n, the power of the controller, and then what is the value of a1, a2, a3, b1, b2, b3, so that all of these are achieved. Basically that thing. Okay. And that close our session today. Although I have an example, yeah, example like this. Is this stable? Stable or not? No. So can you find A1, A2, B1, B2 to stabilize this? Yeah, I leave it to you, yeah. So I'll see you again on Monday.